Well, the UEFA Champions League draw for the quarterfinals, and normally this is the time, it's the business end of the tournament, things are really starting to pick up. Quarterfinal draw is out at last, and we've had two major matches which I think a lot of people's eyes would be on, but it's not to try and be unfair to AC Milan, Napoli, Benfica,
and clearly
Inter
we
Milan.
picked sides as to which matches we're looking forward to. So I'm on this side. I've picked these two fixtures.
Yeah,
for some weird reason is more interesting.
I'm not picking the side where Chelsea are. By the way, you guys would have, if you haven't, in the middle of our mid-inning show, seen my reaction. Why Real Madrid? Why?
Yeah.
Why Real Madrid? Why couldn't you have gotten AC? Like, Chelsea beat AC Milan twice in the group stages.
Yeah.
Would have been no problem. But no, you have to get Real Madrid, the holders, who last year knocked Chelsea out. While Chelsea were the holders,
yes,
mind you.
Yes, very interesting the whole thing. But again, if you're joining us late and in case you're not really up to speed with what's really happened as far as the draw is concerned, Shane and I, before we weigh in on how these fixtures really look, let's just quickly run you through what the draw is all about. The biggest two ties, of course, over here. First, Chelsea taking on Real Madrid. That's the draw. Then the other big match to look forward to in the quarterfinal stage is going to be that of Bayern Munich taking on Manchester City. Definitely the two very good looking or the big fixtures out of the four that have been drawn. Shane, if you could talk us through
Then the other two, and this side is of interest to me for one very simple reason. 3 out of the 4 sides are Italian. It's the first time that is happening since 2006 that you have 3 Italian sides. In fact, Italy are the most represented among all the nations because there's 3 Italian sides. There's a Portuguese side, there's 2 English sides, a Spanish side, and a German side. 3 Italian sides, mind you. And Serie A, let me just put it this way: financial state of the league isn't great, but the fact that you still have 3 of them, you have AC Milan, who are actually UEFA Champions League heavyweights.
Yes, very rich legacy. 6 champions.
And Inter Milan, by the way, are the last Italian team to have actually won the Champions League, 2010. Yes. Napoli are currently on course to romp to Serie A.
Yes.
18 points.
18-point lead. And which is why this fixture, by the way, is of course, it assumes very great importance for the two of them at a club level. But if you look at it, by the way, Napoli, I think, did get the better of AC Milan in the fixture earlier that happened in a couple of...
AC Milan's form this year hasn't been great.
Exactly. But Napoli have been consistent, and which is why we'll talk about how they, do look like the dark horse in some way.
Absolutely. But what's really interesting when you look at this side also is you could potentially, you're all but guaranteed, unless Benfica are in some next level giant
Italian
that you could be getting an Italian all-Italian semi-final.
And by the way, on this side, again,
English.
Improbable, one can say, because again, you need a big turn of events, but an all-English semi-final could also take place. But for that, Chelsea need to get the better of Real Madrid, and over here, you need Manchester City to do what looks like the unthinkable right now and beat a Bayern Munich, who not just league leaders as far as the Bundesliga go, but they look very, very good in the Champions League.
Champions League, they've looked untouchable. They've not lost or drawn a single game up until this point. They've won every single one of the games. And mind you, they had the toughest group. They had a group that had Inter Milan in it, that had Barcelona in it. The only easy match for them was Victoria Pilsen. That's it. Beyond that, they had no easy matches.
And on top of that, look at the way that they beat PSG. Very, very convincing across both the legs. Be it the Parc des Princes or be it at the Allianz Arena. You probably look at the score and say, okay, maybe 3-1, yes, PSG did have some chance in that first leg, but then the nature of the two wins and the way PSG were sidelined there by Bayern Munich tells you that these two sides, of course, they look very good in their own right, but having said that, Bayern Munich are a force to reckon with, and Pep Guardiola would more than just realize that.
You know who would be actually looking forward to that Bayern versus City fixture the most? Joao Cancelo.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't forget, left Manchester City amid rumours that he was not very happy with Pep Guardiola. Now coming up against his, but technically still not former club, but I think he will be a former player by the time the summer rolls around. Because there's an obligation, I think not an obligation, but an option to buy him. And I think Bayern will take it.
Also, as a big boost for Bayern is the fact that Sadio Mane is now fit. That's also a big boost. But a point to prove, in Pep Guardiola's own words, he knows he wants the Champions League this year, and this of course is not a fixture he would have asked for, but if City anyway had to go ahead and lift the title, which would also be their maiden Champions League title, this had to happen at some stage.
Yeah, you were going to be facing, at this point I think, unless you had this thing where say City got AC and Bayern got Napoli and Chelsea got one of these two, you were bound to get some sort of a blockbuster final, quarterfinals. Yeah. Luckily for us as fans, you got 2 blockbuster quarterfinals. Yeah. Chelsea Real again is one of those matches last year. If you're looking at it from a neutral perspective, those quarters were modern day classics, because Chelsea were this close. One mistake, Real Madrid made them pay. And by the way, what's very interesting also is that both clubs this year have found themselves in some kind of a decline.
Absolutely. Look at Real Madrid and their form in the La Liga. They're long way behind, Barcelona.
8 points right now.
And they've not looked their own self in the La Liga, but they're a different beast altogether.
In European.
Beast that European sides are very, very familiar with, and that we've seen over the last 4 to 5 years how they've dominated in the Champions League. They enjoy the dominance in Europe, and they'd want nothing else this time around as well. But they're up against Chelsea, whom they've played rather frequently over the last couple of years.
Yeah, recent times I think Chelsea have been drawing Real Madrid a lot. So there are plenty of, if you're looking at it, Chelsea beat Real Madrid in the knockouts when they won the last time, 2020-21. They beat Real Madrid to get to the semis. To the semis? Or
yes, I think you're right. Yes.
And then after that, now Real Madrid have beat them last year around. So this is becoming
one of those... to get to the final, I guess.
Oh no, that was also the quarters. That was the quarters. So there is plenty of, it's become a weird one of those recent times. Before this, I think the one club who Chelsea fans naturally despised was Barcelona. Because you had a lot of history there of like close calls and this and that. But I think that has kind of taken a backseat in recent years because we've barely drawn Barcelona. Real, on the other hand, have become that one side who, whether or not you like it, it's kind of become thorny. Couple of ex-players there also. Don't forget Thibaut Courtois left. He left Chelsea to join Real Madrid. Mateo Kovacic was part of that exchange deal. He had come to Stamford Bridge. So there is history there, definitely. Players who have played on both sides. Clubs who in recent times have been used to winning the Champions League. Real Madrid more so than Chelsea. But of course, Chelsea's last 2 Champions Leagues came in the last 10 odd years.
And as weird and uncanny as it may look, but the fact that the 2 times Chelsea did win the Champions League in the past were both seasons in which they were struggling in the Premier League, and fair to say it's been the case this time around as well. But then, absolutely. So if at all, and this by the way is the only route now available for Chelsea to have a shot at Europe next year.
What's also very interesting, I remember recently a quote had been doing the rounds where Vinicius Jr. was asked, who's the toughest defender you've faced in your career this far? You know what answer he gave? Reece James.
Alright. Okay, interesting.
And they will be facing
against each other. So yes, all over again. And a fit against Reece James, by the way. He's now fit. I think did he play the previous game?
He had come off the bench, if I'm not wrong. He wasn't starting, but he had come off the bench. So I think obviously
with a week to go, I believe, a little more than a week. I think 3rd of April is when we're looking at no, or the 11th of April, is it?
Oh, I don't remember the dates. We'll have to recheck those.
I think 11th and 18th, that's the 2 legs that you're looking at. 11th, 12th will be the first. Then of course, so there's time for Reece James to get into full fitness. So, but without wasting more of your time,
let's actually look at even Bayern Man City, because Man City, Pep Guardiola recently admitted it. He said, my legacy is going to be defined by how we do in the Champions League. And he's saying, I don't think it's fair, mainly because it's not like Man City or a club like Real Madrid. But Man City in recent times have become that side who are almost bored of winning domestic titles. They're not in that state.
They're already in the running, or for a 3rd, or they're already gunning for a 3rd successive
in 4th,
Premier League title.
So for them, that doesn't matter as much as the Champions League does at this point. The
also from a club perspective, I'll forget Pep Guardiola and his managerial career. Yes, he's achieved everything as a manager that he possibly could have. There are still question marks though, because of the fact that he didn't win the Champions League during his time at Bayern.
Incidentally, the team that knocked him out, Real Madrid.
Also these 2 teams, I think they've faced each other in a long time now as far as
actually these 2 teams are rivals off the field, because again, if you're looking at it, Manchester City, the nouveau rich, the new rich, new money, Bayern Munich as traditional giants as they come. So obviously there's a bit of friction there, and in fact Bayern Munich have been very critical a lot of the times about Manchester City. The likes of Rummenigge, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, and the lot have been very critical about how City run things. So obviously there's a bit of an element there as well. Guardiola being a former.
Let's say to pick one.
Oh, Bayern. I'm going with Bayern because I think so far this team are very, very unbeatable. Very, very. They do not look like there is any sort of a weakness, particularly in Europe. Domestically, they've been little hit or miss.
Yeah.
Europe, though, they've been next level. So, and again, if I have to make a pick even here, much as I hate to say it, I'll give Real Madrid a slight edge. Slight edge. That's not to say it's impossible for Chelsea to beat them
Well,
right now.
that's one of the things that Shane and I were talking as far as this fixture is concerned. That Real Madrid do look a little leaky, because because they've been inconsistent in the La Liga. They look a side that can concede goals, but at the same time, going forward, given the form that Vinicius is in, also
and Benzema suddenly found again.
Exactly, he found the net day before yesterday night as well. So Real Madrid, the only thing is how do you stop them as a force? Valverde is looking good, so is Benzema, so is Vinicius. They've got a very, very good bench strength as well.
Exactly.
And Champions League, as we all know, historically, and especially over the last 5 odd years, gets the best out of all the players, the fans, the clubs, everyone, people associated with the club. They're just on another level on Champions League nights.
So I think this is going to be probably the closest for me. Why? Because what you were saying about Real Madrid, that good, very good going forward at times, leaky at the back.
Yes.
If you substitute out Real Madrid for Chelsea, you wouldn't be wrong. Because Chelsea, despite the fact that they haven't scored as many goals, attacking wise, they've looked very good.
Good, yeah.
In recent times, now finally the goals are starting to flow.
Finally, yes, you do see Enzo's looking good. He's had 2 assists recently, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. In fact, he had in the last game against Leicester, he had a pre as well. Because the Mudryk header, that ball was from him. So again, he's looked imperious in midfield. The wingers are finally, there's a little bit of fluency coming about. Obviously, so many new signings. In fact, if you compare how the team looks now compared to how they looked at the start of the season, you'd realize half the players are different.
Yeah, exactly. It's a different looking squad.
But again, Chelsea have this weird thing where they'll just out of nowhere go on these weird runs. So, not discounting them, but for me, this side of the thing, Real Madrid favourites here, Bayern Munich favourites.
I don't think I can oppose that either. Just got the similar picks. And for reasons.
But let's look at these two now, because this is
interesting. Actually, these fixtures may not interest you as much as these two would, but they're very interesting too if you look at them closely.
Benfica, by the way, this is the same Benfica.
Having lost 2 of their biggest superstars.
Darwin Núñez gone. Enzo Fernandez gone. And now they're in the quarterfinals and looking very, very good. Yes. They've looked like a very complete side. Of course, they do have a certain Gonzalo.
If I'm not wrong, they're making it to the quarterfinals after 1980s or something.
No. Chelsea faced them in the quarters in 2012. They regularly make it to the round of 16 in quarters.
I'm not too sure. Are we? Okay.
2012, Benfica, Chelsea had beat them 3-1 on aggregate or 3-2. I don't remember. They had beaten them. I remember they were there in the quarters because Chelsea beat them, then faced Barcelona. So Benfica are regulars in the round of 16 quarters. Nothing beyond that.
Nothing beyond that.
But they've gotten an Inter side who can also blow hot and cold.
Yeah.
And truth be told, none of with the exception of Napoli, who absolutely dominated Eintracht Frankfurt, neither Inter nor AC had the most convincing of passages. Like Inter, if I'm not wrong, made it 1-0, so did AC.
The only parallel, let's say, that can be drawn between the two sides over here, Milan sides, is the fact that they've both, been inconsistent in the league.
Yeah, and AC more so, because AC, mind you, are defending champions. And they're 5th right now.
Yeah.
They're 5th. They're not even guaranteed to qualify for the Champions League next year. But AC Milan have one sudden advantage which has come their way. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has returned to fitness. You want big game mentality, although again, you can say that Zlatan's never won a Champions League and you'd be correct. So in that sense, but I think in that sense, they also have, by the way, an underrated player in that regard, Olivier Giroud. Someone who was part of Chelsea's team who won it in 2021.
Yes, and a World Cup winner as well.
World Cup winner, and he's, came close to winning a Euros. Very underrated player for me. Very underrated player. Very happy when he broke that France record.
Yeah. Although, by the way, looked good in the World Cup this year as well.
Yeah, he did.
Combined very well with Mbappe. Nobody saw that combination coming up.
But for me, by the way, the team, if you're looking at to watch, Napoli.
They in fact look like the team that could actually go all the way. They've just looked so good. An 18-point lead, as we earlier told you as well. And they're looking solid in all the departments, if you see, because you don't just get that 18-point lead just like that in this area.
Exactly.
You could argue that it's not the most competitive league and whatnot, but there are bloody good sides in there.
Serie A right now is actually more competitive than they have been in recent times, because again, the AC, the Milan sides have kind of come up. Juve have unfortunately dropped down, but then that's due to their own doing.
That's 15 points that were dogged earlier in the season.
Exactly. So, but even beyond that, if you're looking at Serie A, Roma got investment because they were bought off by an American firm. Lazio have been against all odds under the management of Maurizio Sarri. Are currently in the Champions League spots. So there's actually a lot of competition in Serie A. Granted, of course, the league suffers compared to, say, a Premier League or La Liga because their TV money isn't that attractive. But the league right now is in a pretty decent state, I would say. So, and it's reflected by the fact that you have 3 Italian sides. That hasn't happened in over a decade. So the fact that it's happening
now, and you're
now,
assured that there's one of them definitely coming into
most like semis. So see, one is guaranteed. You could very well suppose Inter Milan beat Benfica, which, by the way, strong possibility. You could have an Italian side in the final. For the first time, by the way, since 2010, if I'm not wrong. Again, 29-10 was the last time an Italian side.
Also, if I'm not wrong, interesting, I think it was Benfica who were group toppers as well, in the same group that PSG were.
PSG and Juve. Yes. That was when Juve, but Juve.
So it also tells you about the fact that to dominate a group in which there is PSG, you can't just take Benfica lightly over here.
You cannot. And with Benfica, you have to remember, they have made it a habit of selling their best players. And despite that, they continue to be strong. So it is actually, I wouldn't put it past them. So let's just quickly pick out some winners. We already picked out this side. We said, I'm going to go upset here and say I think Benfica are winning.
You stole my words over there. But anyway, would have gone with Benfica as well, for the fact that, yes, of course, this will, look like a match that could be tilting a little towards Inter more. But I think Benfica have just been doing the right things to get one more win, or the required one to progress that one more step into the, Champions League or far in the season. But beyond that, it'll get difficult.
It will.
But definitely, I can see a result for them over here in this fixture.
Absolutely. And this one, see, this.
I think it's a rather easy pick.
Napoli.
Napoli.
AC Milan need a miracle. They need a Milan miracle if they are to actually do. But again, very happy with how Italian sides have done this time around. Very happy because, again, I think Harshit and I are a similar age group. I think we grew up at a time when you would see these teams. Like you had the legendary AC Milans and the legendary Inter Milans, because you had all your, what do you call, AC Milan that time had what? Andrei Shevchenko, Kaká, Pirlo, Sedorf.
Sedorf was there.
Inzaghi. The goalkeeper at that time was Dida.
Dida used to be there.
At right back, you had Cafu.
Nesta as well.
You had Rui Costa. How can I forget?
Rui Costa as well.
So that was
You've seen all those rivalries.
Those were stars. And even Inter of that era, you had the captain was Marco Materazzi. Their goalkeeper was Julio Cesar.
There was
Adriano.
A Ballon d'Or winner as well in their defense.
Wesley Schneider. Defender, no. That you're mixing Fabio Cannavaro.
I'm mixing Cannavaro was at Juve.
But otherwise, they also didn't have. They had a mean defense. You had some the likes of Walter Samuel.
Also, I think this fellow as well.
Javier Zanetti was their captain.
Yes, Zanetti.
Then otherwise also, see, had the likes of Wesley Schneider. For strikers, by the way, at one point, Balotelli used to be
you'd probably remember, just forgetting the name of the striker, that Mourinho had gotten.
Diego Milito.
Inter guy.
Yes, he scored the goals for them in the final. He scored a brace against Bayern.
Yes.
I remember.
Was Mourinho, in fact, no, Mourinho wasn't the manager then. Was he?
Yes.
He was the one who Milito, yes.
He joined them as manager 2009-10.
6 was AC Milan.
There was AC Milan.
Later on.
So he stayed in Inter 2 years, 8-9 seasons and 9-10, and then he went to Real Madrid.
Again, talking about Mourinho is something else we can do at a later time. But again, the ones, did it with the Drogba as well. He told Abramovich, Mr. Abramovich, give me Drogba, leave it up to me. Did something over here with Milito as well. Brought Milito in and he scored those 2 goals as well.
Mind you, this was also a time when, remember, Inter were also financially not that great. So actually he had to do a lot of wheeling and dealing. Remember, Samuel Eto'o was part of that side and he brought in Eto'o as like a swap deal by sending Ibrahimovic to Barca. Samuel Eto'o came here. You had Milito, as you said, he was signed very cheap. Wesley Schneider. Another one, by the way. Wesley Schneider was the star of that particular team. And otherwise, also, if you remember that
midfield, who's doing well for the national side, doing extremely well.
But he was a star of this Milan side. Their midfield had the likes of Suli Montari. So again, that was a very aging side, but they were an aging side who were willing to die for Mourinho. You said, you play by methods, you'll win what you want. Won them the treble, then went to Real Madrid. Arguably the last great Mourinho side that Inter Milan. Although actually you can't say that. His Real Madrid were
Real
really
Madrid,
good.
exactly.
Yeah, his Real Madrid were really good. But I think for me, I'm just glad, as I said, Italian football renaissance, the kid in me is very, very happy.
It was extremely good to see AC Milan lift the title last year
After how
long wait.
11 years. 2010-11 was the last title there.
Otherwise, because it was all Juve over all these years otherwise.
And remember, by the way, when 2010-11, when AC Milan lifted the title, you know who was their star striker at that point? Ibrahimovic.
Ibra.
2022 when they lifted it, Ibrahimovic was again their striker.
After that, where all Ibra went is another video for another day because
PSG, Man United, LA Galaxy, back to AC Milan.
Galaxy, and then back to AC.
And then back to AC Milan.
Barca had happened before that.
Barca was well before that.
Yeah.
In fact, he came to AC Milan from Barca.
Yeah.
After 1 year, he was disenchanted at this thing. He wanted to come back to Italy. He went back to AC. So he's also one of those players who's played for all of Italy's top 3
Football's
sides.
journeyman.
And all of Italy's top 3 sides, because remember, he came to Italy when he came to Italy for Juventus. He left Juventus.
He's played for all clubs, all major clubs he's played for.
He left Juventus after Calciopoli, went to Inter, left Inter, Barca, then AC. So he's played really everywhere. A lot of Italians have done that though as well. Pirlo, started at Inter's academy, went to AC Milan, then Juve.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing now.
It just happens.
Yeah. But anyhow, these are our predictions. Let us know in the comments.
Let's just take a couple of comments. We do.
Can we do?
Yeah, we can. Wait a minute, Anurag, can we see those? Like, there's that one thing there which is interrupting it a tad, but there are some comments we have. Mridul Krishna makes a good point. Yes. Juve, I forgot. Yes.
In 2017.
Yes. Because it was after that when Ronaldo. Yes. Assassin AR, I agree with you. Madrid mentality monsters, and I am afraid for Chelsea too. Yes. Yeah. But as Anuj also points out, Anuj Shukla, our dear colleague, we should have brought him to the debate.
Yeah, actually,
as he says, Chelsea has a good record against Madrid, and Luka Modric also has said that Chelsea have been his toughest opponents in the Champions League ever. Big praise coming from someone, by the way, who's won like 5 of them. Very big praise. Sachin Kashyap says, Man City Bayern excited. Martinez, key player for Inter. Yes, Lautaro Martinez. Lautaro Martinez is this generation's Gonzalo Higuain.
I knew you
been rubbish for the Argentine team. Very good though for Inter. He's a different beast. Just
scored, I think, the other day as well. Him
and Lukaku make a very good combination. Lula, as they're called. So that's it. These are our predictions, and shockingly, we were actually on the same
more or less on the same
all of them. But you guys can let us know if you're expecting any upsets. Thank you guys for joining us on this debate. Also, if you enjoyed, let us know that too. We'll bring you more of these in the future. For now, though, thank you from Harshit and me. Goodbye. Stay tuned. We'll be coming to you live once the India match is done too. Bye bye.